Hello, and welcome to an all new episode of Men and Women Talk, the Mars Venus Show. I am your host, Kinte, all the way live from Los Angeles, California, and I'm so happy to be here. How do I sound?
Sound good.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I realized that I was on speaker and not headphones. I should have picked up on it in our pre-chat, so excuse me. Uh, and today we have a very special episode. It's our 200th episode, which I'll get into my feelings, my thoughts and feelings about that. But before we do that, let me introduce my wonderful and lovely co-host, the one and only Mosaic. How you doing, Mosaic?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am excellent. I'm blessed and highly flavored. So
What flavor?
yes,
Chicken or beef?
and it's been a while since we've had a chance to talk. So
Yes.
how what you been up to?
I've been working. Just that's about it. Working and help saving the children. Working. Married life is wonderful. I haven't really been doing much of anything. Just working on myself. I've been trying to be more selfish these days and focus on self care, taking care of me first. I'm always taking care of everybody else and just taking that time to be selfish and be like, no, I can't do anything for you until I do something for myself first.
All
That's
right.
about it.
I love it. I mean, kudos to you for being selfish. You know, I understand exactly what you're saying because, a lot of times, we're sitting there working for everybody else, but we don't put in anything for ourselves. So, what they say,
That's
self care is some of the best care you're gonna have. So,
mm-hmm.
yes. So we're fortunate to have two wonderful guests. And we'll start with ladies first. This young lady was one of my past co-hosts for a short period of time on the show. She's a good dear friend of mine. It's the wonderful Taralynn. How you doing, Taralynn?
Hey, Kinte, I am doing great. I can't believe it's been 200 episodes. This is awesome.
I know it's crazy. I can't believe it myself. So, but I'm so glad that you are here and chopping it up with us tonight.
Me too. Thanks for inviting me. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. And this guy, I mean, this is my fellow podcast brother. We've done so many shows together.
Oh
It's the
God,
one and
yeah.
only the Captain Olaf Barbosa. How you doing, Olaf?
I am doing fantastic. And you know, uh, when you hit me up about the 200th show, I was like, going, "Wow, has it really been that many?" It's like that
I
is
know, and you were
that.
on the first.
Yeah, it's like I was on the first. It's like what 99 or 100.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, it's like so. I'm like, that's awesome. I'm glad it's that you've gotten to the 200 mark, and just super excited to be here on the show this evening.
Yeah, we're gonna, we'll talk about the past, but we'll also talk about the future, and of course, what's this show without bringing up a couple of hot topics and getting some of you guys' thoughts on there. And please forgive me. I know I'm looking off to the side is because accidentally I had the wrong date. I don't know how that happened because I know I put it in right, and so some people were kind of confused. So I did get it corrected, but I had to people asked me to remind them. Uh, so I am sending out um, invitations. So please forgive me. All right. So let's just kind of talk about. I want to talk about the origins of this program and why it was significant for me as as a podcaster and as just as somebody who uh, really you know um, enjoys having these conversations. And I have to kind of go back in the way back machine. And um, so let's get in. I should have had some way back machine music. Please forgive
Mm.
me. What's up, Gary? We got Renee in the chat room, Stephanie and Gary, and we have more people. So let yourself be known. Thank you so much. for joining us. All right, so let's get in the way back machine. So, as Olaf knows, that um, indie radio, we were doing a lot of television show podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
and so we started off with Dexter. Me and Josh was doing a podcast about the show Dexter, and then there was a woman that used to be connected with us named Bahia, and she said this is a show called um, Walking Dead. Damn, I had to think about the name of the show. And so me and her started doing the Walking Dead podcast, and eventually we did an Orphan Black show with
Hey,
Tara
I was
Lynn.
I was in that one.
Yes,
I was in
and
the I was in the
so I,
Walking Dead one.
right, and I was doing a bunch of TV show podcasts, and at the same time as this was going on, we were doing Hell on Wheels as well.
Black
At the same time, this was
Black
over
Sails.
Black Sales a decade ago. My father was very ill, and at the end of his life, and I really didn't talk about it too much to the people I was doing shows with. Olaf knew, Yardley knew. Who, if Yardley's around, big shout out to Yardley. Um, and but I really didn't talk about it. I just did the shows and whatnot. And I had this idea for this show, Mars Venus, like maybe a year before, but the original iteration of Mars Venus was a game show. And I was going to do kind of like Family Feud, not in the way that we would have like a bunch of people pre would pull out a questionnaire, and it would be like I would have a group of men and a group of women, and they had to kind of guess where the men that answered the questionnaire voted, or about different topics. And so it takes a lot of work to put that together. But I was dealing with my father's, he eventually passed away in the end of September 2013. And so I never got around to doing it. And the next year rolled around, and I enjoyed doing the TV show podcast, but I wanted something that wasn't like fantasy, or, it's like something that was real, like life. So I was itching to do the Mars Venus show, which I had this idea, and I always wanted a female co-host. I wanted to do the male female dynamic, and I realized it was going to take too long to start doing the game show, so I just decided to have a panel, men and women. It was like 3 men, 3 women, and that we would just talk about the topics. And I had been on a show before. A friend of mine, who I think Taralynn and Olaf probably remembers her. She was DJ Honey from Second Life,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and she called me up. This is earlier, it's 2013. Uh, it was a Father's Day. She called me up one day and says, "Look, I'm producing a podcast, and it's about Father's Day, and can you be on as a panelist?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I pop on there, and the show starts off. We're talking about Father's Day, and the show gets wild. It's like the first 10 minutes was like about Father's Day, then it's about sex and all of this stuff. I'm talking about, like, it was like out of control. And there was this guy on the show, and I hope he's listening, Finn. Uh,
Yeah.
and this is the first introduction to this guy named Finn. And he was just like talking crazy and wild. And I was like, who's this dude? Like, he was just, and so okay, so I was on that show, which is so funny that it started out. There's some more stuff I could talk about this show, but I won't. We don't have the time. So then, uh, I was I did another show called Beyond the Note with before that with DJ Honey, which we were interviewing people in music, right? We had the Sugar Hill Gang was on there. We had it was really good show. And the first show we did a panel discussion about does falling in love change the way you view um does falling in love change the way you view love songs? Something to that effect. And there was a woman on the show. Her name was Ecumenis, and she was great on the panel, just
Mm-hmm.
awesome. So when it was time to do Mars Venus, I go to DJ Honey. I was like, "Do you remember that girl? I can't. She had that weird name, right? Because I could never say her name, Ecumenis, at first. And then she was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." So she put me with her, and I said, "Hey, would you come on to be on the show called Mars Venus that I'm starting?" She said, "Yeah." Hey, can I bring a friend of mine on the show too? Right? And I said, "Sure." Right? I didn't realize till the show start that show was that Finn guy, and I was like, "Wait a minute, I remember you. You're that guy that was on that crazy podcast." And Finn is awesome person, funny guy. uh you know uh he's wonderful dude, but and he I think he's not as crazy Finn anymore. Oh, Sabrina's in there. So we did the show. Acuminous ended up being my co-host, and she was amazing. I wish she could be on the show. She's no longer on the internet. She was awesome. I'm kind of giving the oral history of the show in a way, and we had some great shows. you know then Taralynn came in after her and was on the show for a while. Then she couldn't do the show anymore. And then eventually Rasheem came on the show, which I was hoping that she was going to be able to make it, but I don't know what's going on there. But uh, uh, oh, I see that she's active now. So it says she's seen it. So hopefully she'll come on. So Rasheem comes on the show. We had a great run with Rasheem. Then Rasheem could no longer be on the show. We didn't fall out or nothing crazy like that. And then Shannon came on the show. I don't know if you guys remember Shannon. Shannon was on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Had a great run with Shannon. And then she could no longer be on the show. And then I was talking to Mosaic, and I think about something else. And then we would have this great conversation. I was like, "Hey, would you be my co-host on the show?" Because I'm gonna tell you about Mosaic. Mosaic is one of those people. I don't know if you know these kind of people who you ever meet somebody and you felt like you've known them forever and you just met them.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like Mosaic, I think we have a similar background. I mean, not she's from Flint, I'm from Los Angeles, but I mean like, you know, um, cultural type thing. And we just had great conversations. And one thing I love about Mosaic is we can disagree with each other, but it ain't no drama. You know what I mean? It's not like, it's like we've been on the opposite ends of I won't say debates, but sides. And she's cool as hell. Like because some people will be mad that you just didn't agree with them, and they'll forget him, or forget her. So Mosaic is now my co-host, and I so happy, and I feel like we do wonderful shows together, and I really, really love our interactions. And she's such a gamer, and well, not gamer, a video gamer, but I mean, to do the shows. And I'm just so happy that she is my co-host. So that is the brief oral history of Mars Venus. And I was gonna have clips,
Hey,
but I,
let's just shout out that you stayed with the show for the 200 episodes. I mean, us
Right.
women came and got
Mhm.
and went, and you were there the whole time.
I mean, honestly, the thing about Mars Venus is, I was doing a bunch of podcasts. If I didn't start Mars Venus, I probably would have stopped doing podcasts, because even though we were really successful, like our shows was doing very well. Um, I just, after my dad died and all of this stuff, I just didn't feel like doing it. Like, I mean, I was fine once we did the shows, but I kind of lost the luster for it. And then Mars Venus was so much for Olaf can tell you. Remember that the beginning, and Taralynn was there too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because Taralynn, because we were doing simulcast with the virtual world Second Life.
Yeah.
So, and I was doing, I believe, on your property, right?
Yeah.
So we had a virtual audience as well, and Taralynn was helping me with that as well, doing both. So even though she wasn't on the show, Taralynn was a big supporter of the show from the jump, and Olaf was there, and we were having a
Oh, having a
ball
blast. Yeah.
every week. We were just, I mean, we were laughing and having a good time. And this is when the show was only audio only. And so, it's just been, it's been really remarkable. And I'm so glad that I stuck in, I hung in there, and and we're up to episode 200, and we've had such great shows that we've done. I mean, from topics from sex, religion, dating.
What was
We've
one of your
talked.
favorite show topics? I'm curious.
We did a show, and honestly, I was scared to do it. It was in the second season. But I had okay. So there's this guy named Ace, a black dude who's a former porn star, who's now a stand-up comedian, and you gotta be careful when you Google him, because there's also a gay porn star with his name. So you may get his stuff instead of the other guy's stuff. So just be careful when you Google Ace, the porn star. But Dedrick, hey, what's up? Uh and so I was following him because he was so funny. He was talking about his time doing porn, but it was funny, and it wasn't like, oh, I'm this great dude because I'm going around with all these women. He was talking about just getting embarrassed on sets, like, he was like
Having
really
the crew behind him. Yeah.
right, like he was just funny as heck. And so I followed him, and he followed me back. So I hit him up and I said, would you come on the show? Right. And I said, oh, let me do this, because I always want to have the male female thing. Let me find a female ex porn star,
Oh Lord.
and then we could talk about the industry from a male female perspective. So I got, so this woman, her name is she went by Sabrina Love, a sister who was a BBW porn actress. And it was so funny when I did my research for the show. um I found that they had done a scene together, right? And it was so funny. Before the show started, I was like, hey, in the pre-chat, I was like, hey, you guys did a scene together. And he was like, yeah, I remember. And she was like, yeah, I remember.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh,
It's
yeah,
like it was like, oh, you're that guy, huh? Okay.
yeah. But you know what's so great about that show? And it was when we were audio only, that show, it starts off and it's all like boogie nights in the beginning, oh yeah, we were having a ball, right? Then it got dark.
Mhm.
It was like, I mean, both him and her, it was like, then they started talking about, being exploited and all of this stuff. And she got real deep about the exploitation part of
Oh
it.
my goodness.
But it was really good. And shout out to Grayson, because Rasheem, of all the, I'm not Rasheem, I'm sorry, of uh
Is she still
uh
around, Grayson?
Acu. Yeah.
Okay.
I just talked to her the other day.
Okay.
Acu couldn't do the show. That's the one show she missed at the time when she was on the show, oddly enough. Uh and But Grayson was my co-host that night. She popped in. And funniest question she asked was, do you guys get residuals? I knew the answer to that. No.
Oh, they don't? Oh.
No, hell no, they don't get no residuals.
You know, one of the shows going down that line, that path, that was fascinating to me because I really didn't know it existed, was the girl who you could hire to be your girlfriend.
Right, the
Oh
girlfriend
yeah.
experience, which was like, I think the next episode, or it was actually around, I think I either did that one right before or right after.
Yeah.
Yeah, where
Like,
yeah.
I don't like it. I don't think women kind of hire men to be their boyfriends for things, but men seem to a lot more readily hire girls to do that.
Yeah.
They call
I,
those exports, don't they?
yeah, right. I tell you though, just to wrap up the porn show was okay. So we did the show. It got it got real serious, and then I got an email a couple of days later, and by this time we had done, we were in our second season. We had done, I think, like 40 shows or something like that. And a young lady wrote me. It was a sister, BBW sister, and and she said she was a long time listener. She had listened from the beginning, but she had never was in a chat room or anything. She just would listen. So you don't even know who's listening to your shows, right? And she said that she was literally about to start doing adult movies. She had signed up or whatever and hadn't shot yet. And she heard our show and she said, nope, not doing it.
Wow.
Mm.
And and it lets you know, like, wow, that had like a real impact. Like she said, after I heard what she said about being exploited and all of that kind of stuff, she said, I don't want to do it. So, so that was really, so, and that was a show that some people said I was jumping the shark. Maybe I shouldn't do that show, but it was a real impact to it. So, that was a interesting show. I thought about doing a part two to it at some point, but because it did very well. It was one of our bigger episodes, but the girlfriend experience too, that was good. Um that was a good one. We did Sex Magic a couple of times. We did a Second Life show, which was great, uh, where people, learned what goes down in the virtual world, which was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
We've done
Yeah.
so many just terrific shows, and I'm very proud. I mean, some things, some nights it's like, it was okay, but most nights, I'm pretty proud of the stuff that we've been able to accomplish. So, but anyway, that's kind of the oral history of the show. I can go on and on about what we've done. Just check out our archives, and if you haven't, there's a lot of good stuff there. Okay, so all right, I've been doing a lot of talking, so I apologize for that. Um, but uh, what is a Mars Venus episode without talking about different things? And it's been so long since we've done an episode. I have so much that I've just popped in my head, right? And I like to get you guys' thoughts on certain things. Okay. And we'll get into some dating stuff. We'll get into a lot of different topics because we can talk about anything on this show.
Yeah.
Um,
Can we
and
shout out that we're recording this on International Women's Day?
oh,
Oh,
No, it is
okay.
International Women's Day,
Yeah.
and it's Women's
oh,
Month.
all right. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. Um, it's funny. I'll tell you a funny story later on. If you guys remind me about a mix up on a birthday, just remind me that if I
Mm.
don't do that. So and shout out to all the women's out there. One time for the women, so Dedrick says. Um, okay, so let's talk about our own histories a little bit. So don't worry, it's nothing that you probably wouldn't want to talk about. Can you guys remember? Um, can you guys remember your first boyfriend or girlfriend? I mean, I would hope you could.
Mm,
Yeah. Oh,
So,
from elementary school. Like that back far back? First one I thought
first
he was
one
my
that you would
boyfriend?
you would say was serious,
Oh,
like, yeah. So you don't have to say any names, but we'll start off with you, Taralynn. Tell us about the first boyfriend you ever had.
gosh, now I'm trying to think of like a serious one. I wasn't really allowed to date till I was 16. So,
All right, so
uh,
then 16.
yeah,
That was last year, so
yeah, I remember I really liked this boy who was a senior.
hmm
And of course, I couldn't go on a night date with him because my parents would know. So I told him I could go out to lunch with him, and I tell you what, my parents, or more like my grandma, had instilled the guilt factor in me. So like the whole time, like we went to lunch, and he was so cute, and I was so excited, but I was like sweating. I was so nervous that someone would see me and I'd get in trouble. So
Mm-hmm.
I only did it once, but I really liked him.
Aw. Aw. What about you, Mosaic? Can you think of the
Yeah, we actually went to church together. So I
uh
met him at church, and he was a little older than me. And so we dated for a while, and then he decided to, try to play me
Aw.
too well. So, but then after that, I met my ex that I was with on and off for like 20 years, who's
Oh
now
wow.
my stalker. So, but yeah, I remember like because we had a lot of fun. We used to go out all the time, and then like he would pick me up from school and stuff like that, and bring me lunch, and and it
Aw.
was in high school, but it was
Aw.
cool. We still keep in touch. We still talk every now and then.
Aw, that's cool. What about you, Olaf? Can you think who was your first serious girlfriend?
Oh wow. I guess it's like for me, didn't really, I didn't really have much interest just in girls until high school.
Mm.
So I guess it was I didn't really start dating until I was in high school, and I it's like one of the girls I dated for a little while in high school went on to be like runner up in for Miss Indiana.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
Mm.
So and I still see her every once in a while, but so we dated for a while. But I that was I guess that was probably my first serious uh, dating experience.
Mm.
And like I said, we graduated together, and I see her every once in a while. I haven't seen her for a few years, but it was good while it lasted. Then I went to college, and that kind of stopped the. It's like we quit dating before I went to college, so
Mm.
that was probably my first serious, but didn't last long.
Okay, so um
What about you,
mine was
Kinte?
mine was I was 12 years old, and I had a little girlfriend and for about a year, and her name was Aisha, like the song. And it's so funny. Obviously, I was a young hormonal 12-year-old boy. So
Mannish.
yes, and now I look back, I probably should call her and apologize. Yes, I had a serious girlfriend at 12. What were y'all doing? What was
Right.
it was more like what I was wanting to do. It was more so like that. And she thought all that stuff was icky, and I wanted to do stuff that she was not down for. But yeah, I it's funny. I think about it now. I was like, oh my god, I was such a pest. You know, I was such a pest. Like, uh, but yeah, that was so long ago. Um, okay, so there's a reason why I brought this up is and you. It's funny. It's interesting, Mosaic. You're married, but there's a there's a thing I like to call the ghost of it depends on if it's male or female, the ghost of penis past or the ghost of vagina past. And it's if you have someone that you were either in a relationship with or a friends with benefit situation with, and then now you've moved on and now you are with someone else, but that person is kind of hovering around like a ghost or like some
Ghost.
sort of entity. Yeah, and there's so many people that have the ghost of either penis or vagina past
Well, mine lives down the
hovering.
street.
Right, right. And so my question to you guys is like, at what point do you get rid of that ghost?
How do you?
And
That's
well, yeah,
my
and how
question.
do you? Do you call Ghostbusters? Like like because at a certain point, it's gonna mess up your future. I think your romantic future. It can be. It can do that.
Yeah,
So,
if you allow it to, it can. You have to set boundaries. With my, like I said, my ex, we were on and off for 20 years. And so, we have a lot of history together. But he moved to Columbus and got him an apartment in December. And it just how happens to be like about a mile down the street from my house.
oh wow.
Which is not the first time this has happened. The last time he lived here, he lived a mile down the street from my house with this girl that he was talking to. But it was only using her so he can be closer to me.
Wow.
So, I think like with me and Steve, we'll always be friends, always. So like, I use him to my advantage. Like my dad, he's a general contractor. My dad needs a new floor in the kitchen, put it in. My dad needs a ceiling fan put up. He puts the ceiling fan up. So lately I actually have I actually have a legit stalker right now. There's a kid at my job. He's like 21,
Mm.
but he needs housing. But he started sending me texts like what he wanted to do to my body sexually, and so I told him like, hey, like you need to chill out.
That's
Like
scary.
this ain't gonna go well for you. And he's like, he called himself apologizing, like I was inappropriate. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And then in his apology, he says, I hope I can get all the things that I really need. And he puts an eggplant at the end.
Mm.
So
Oh
then he started
wow.
showing up to my job, like before I got to work so he can meet me there.
Uh-huh.
And I basically, so I was like, okay, he's working on getting banned from coming to the shop. But then he sent me a video of him jerking himself.
Oh
And
my
so I was
god.
like,
Wow.
that's the final straw. Like, you are not allowed on property. And so I had to make that phone call because, he was 3 minutes up the street,
Oh wow.
So yeah, so now like it comes in handy. That's why I keep boundaries because my husband's not for it. So, like it's in this the case, like I was like, hey, look, I got the creepy dude keep come around here. Like he like, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of him. He won't come back. Like he came today, and I let him know he couldn't come. But like he's been already been encountered him already. Like, hey, because
Wow.
he's trying to find excuses to come to my office. But yeah, like I mean, it has its benefits, it has its cons, that's for sure. You just have to have those solid boundaries, and like we're very very good friends. We've been friends for 25 years now, almost 26. So it's hard to kind of like leave something like that, like when you're like we're genuinely like best friends almost. And
Mm.
it's like, he's still a man though. I have to be like, sir, no, it's not happening. But
Mm.
but it can work, but it just everybody's situation is different. I know some people that cannot absolutely do it, and I respect that.
Mhm.
But mine's a little different.
Oh wow. Man. I
Come over
mean,
here,
wow.
chicken coop in the backyard, because that's what's happening next. He's gonna build a chicken coop. So yeah, build my chicken coop for me and get my partners together. Yes, make yourself useful if you want to see me.
Wow. That's crazy, man. Yeah, I don't yeah. Wow. Dang. What about you, Tara Lynn? What do you think about that hovering ghost of the past? Just
You
what do you
know,
how do you get rid of it?
yeah, I think I I mean for me, I had a couple of those, but having the open conversation of being honest with the person worked for me. It didn't end up in a stalker situation because, gosh, I feel bad for you in that situation. But literally saying, I've moved on and told them how much I liked the other person, so that they knew there wasn't any I wasn't coming back to them, kind of a thing. Um, but it's interesting. I'm friends, kind of like you and your 20-year man. I'm friends with all my exes pretty much.
Oh
I
wow.
can't think of an ex that I didn't end it in a way, even though there might have been some uncomfortableness at the beginning. We ended up being friends.
I was
Now
gonna say, if I only have one I want to kill.
Olaf has a really interesting story because Olaf is best friends with his ex-wife, and I think that you guys live together too right now, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about I'm not talking about they got divorced and stayed with in the, like how long was it in between you guys living together and then reliving together?
It's like, well, been divorced for 16 years, 16 or 17 years. We were married for 12. Been, as like, got divorced. And let's see, she was having problems with her house. And she asked me, and at the time I was remodeling my house. And she
Mhm.
said, um, if, uh, if I help you, if I sell my house and help you pay for some of the remodeling, can I move in? I never actually said yes. I never actually said no. But
Mhm.
she's been here 2 years, 3 years. I don't know, two or three
Wow.
years. So
Awesome.
yeah, I live with my ex, but we're still friends. I mean, it's and I said I've got two kids. It's like two kids, two daughters, and then I have two grandsons and a granddaughter. So they come over and hang out with Nana and Grandpa every once in a while. So
Wow, that's
yeah, but yeah. So I guess it's been shoot. I guess it's been 3 years that we shared a house. We didn't share a house for 15 years, and it's like now it's been about three, I guess, and it worked out. It did actually. It has worked out. It's like well, not last year, but it's like year before, I guess. It worked out on in my favor. Her being here. I wound up in the hospital for a month and a half. I had open heart surgery. I had a six-way bypass done. So,
Mhm.
and of course, I had my cat in the house and everything like that. I was gone for a month and a half. So she took care of everything, and I don't remember much about the hospital, but I'm pretty sure she came to check on me, each day and make sure that the doctors and nurses were doing what they were supposed to be doing. So, like, so even though it's like, even though we're, not a couple, and that's the big thing. People are like, oh yeah, you got your ex living with you. I'm like, no, there's nothing going on between us. You know,
right.
it's strictly
Ain't
platonic.
nothing going on but the rent.
Ain't nothing. Yeah, ain't nothing going on but the rent. So
And
Wow.
sometimes it's better that way. Sometimes you're better friends than you are as lovers, and you probably should have never crossed that threshold.
right. Well,
Right.
and see, the other part of it is, I don't care if she gets mad at me or not, because we're not married and we're not dating. I'm not married to her, so she gets mad at me. Oh well.
She can't put you on the couch now.
No, I said, by God, I got my
It's
own
my
room. She
couch.
can't. Yeah, it's my couch. You can't put me on there.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, wow. Okay. All right.
And
So another thing. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, she's actually been on some of the shows a couple of times.
Mhm.
Well, she was on Mars Venus once. Remember
Yep.
you did the thing about the couples or
Divorce. Yeah.
divorced couples, and like, all right, like we can do this. So she was actually on one of the Mars Venus shows.
That was so cool too. Yeah. All right. So another thing too is, and we've talked about this before on this show, but I kind of want to get you guys take on this. Is I'm from the old school. I'm from the old. I'm gonna show you how old school I am. I'm from the school that burnt down, and then they put up the old school there, right?
Mm.
So I say that to say this: when I was coming up, you met people face to face, right?
Right.
You get numbers at the mall. When you were like, when you were young. You know, you go, and whatnot. Well, it seems like these days, they call it I think what they call it in the field. That's what they call it in the field. Uh, it seems like it's not happening much more. Like just walking up to a woman, getting her number, and then things starting from there, right?
Oh
Right.
no. Okay.
I'm not saying it's zero. I'm just saying it's not like it was when we came up, right?
Right.
So us dinosaurs who still want to do things the old way in the field, they have what they call are okay. You could be in the field, you can ask a girl for a number, but there's some places that are inappropriate to try to get someone's number. Now, y'all can say whatever. I don't feel like almost any place is inappropriate. That's me. I know the women are probably not going to agree, but I feel like wherever you can get it, you get it, bruh. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask our lovely panel. I'm going to throw out some places, and you tell me appropriate or inappropriate I will say for a guy to, because we are the pursuers, right? When women are with their kids. Okay, that's what Stephanie says in the chat. When women are with their kids, it depends.
It depends.
It depends.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would be less inclined to do that. But if the situation presents itself and I'm single, you know, might go there. Could happen. Not ideal though. Not ideal. Okay. All right. So let's start off with one that I hear all the time in the gym. I keep hearing that that's inappropriate. We'll start off with you, Taralynn. Do you think it's inappropriate for a guy to try to get your number in the gym? Oh, Taralynn, you're on mute.
Hmm.
Well, I think that's her answer.
I guess. No, did she
Maybe
step
she
away?
stepped away for a
She
second.
might have stepped away. Okay, I did all that great setup, and then boom. All right, what about you, Mosaic? Do you think it's inappropriate for a guy to try to get your number at the gym?
I guess it depends where in the gym you are. Like, don't be trying to like come in like if you come in through the family side or something like that, and you like, I just want to get your nothing out, or like trying to holler at me while I'm in the sauna or something like that. Like, if you're like in passing or something, maybe you see me
Uh-huh.
on a treadmill. But yeah, I mean, there's not really a big deal.
Why? You go, hey, can you spot me? And then while he's spotting you, he's like, hey, so what you doing?
I'm really self conscious about that. Like, I don't want just anybody like come in. Because some dudes try to like come up on you, like they're like, oh no, you got to do it this way. Be like, wait a minute, sir, don't touch me. Uh, and then don't spot me either, because get your balls up over my head. Like, no, no. So I'm really funny about
Hilarious.
stuff like that. There's some things I won't probably do in the gym unless my husband's there.
Right. What about you, Olaf? You think it's wrong for a guy to in the gym?
No, not again. It's there's already it's like it was already said. In other words, depends on where you're at in the gym. If you're sitting on the it's like on the you're on the stairmaster or something, and you're working out like crazy. Yeah, don't walk up and go, hey. don't walk up and go, "How are you doing?" and try to get numbers and stuff like that. But after maybe it's like after they get done with it, if you get done with your workout at the same time and you happen to be walking out, or if there's a juice bar or something there, and I don't know, I haven't been to the gym in years, so I think some of them have like drinks or something that water or some sort of a juice bar or something. You go, yeah, if they're up there, not actually doing a workout, you know, and yeah, the whole, like you said, don't try to spot them, unless they ask, say, hey, can you spot me? Sure, and
Oh,
then
I spotted you, sweetie. Oh, I've
oh
already spotted
oh
you.
yeah, I that,
See,
that's where you go with the that's where you drop the voice a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, I spotted you when I came in the door.
man.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great place to meet someone because you both work out, so you have something in common. So, but I think there are times probably where it's less advantageous for you to do it. But yeah, and it you do definitely need to be careful how you do it. But inherently wrong, I don't think it is. Me
No,
personally.
I agree. In other words, in the right place in the gym, yeah, but I don't see anything wrong with it.
Taralynn, do we have you back? If you are, come off mute. Okay. All right. So we don't have Taralynn back.
She
All right.
she's
So,
probably she's probably looking at it going, button. Where the hell's the button? I can't find it. No.
oh yeah, it's the mic. It's the mic. Okay. So, all right. Another place that questionable is in in church. Some people say I'm there just to pray, get my pray on, and some people say that that's not a. You shouldn't be there looking for love, which I think is silly because
That's
yeah, that's like-minded people and all of that kind of stuff. So we'll start off with you, Olaf. Is the church? Do you think it's fine to pick up at the church?
Absolutely. In other words, and a lot of the, like you say, us dinosaurs, and our parents were like, well, if you want to meet a nice girl, go to go to church.
Or you
You
want to
meet
meet a
it,
freak too? Go to
yeah,
church.
yeah. It's like you want to, but that's the numbers of old school. Is like, yeah, you want to meet a nice girl, go to church. So yeah, I don't have it's like no qualms about meeting somebody at church.
You know what you do? You walk up to her and say, "You know what I prayed for? Get your number."
like, mm-mm.
What about you, Mosaic? Is the church?
I don't
Is
think there's nothing wrong with meeting people at church. Like I said, I met my first boyfriend at church. His
okay.
mom and my grandmom were like really good friends. So, you know, there's a lot of little church run, and I used to be a youth leader in church. So, it's all kind of relationships happening in, in the church. You see stuff happen all the time. So that's actually a pretty good place to meet people. I just say stay away from drummers and ladies. Don't listen to them. The musicians, stay away from them.
Yeah, don't stare at me to try to get the number during the sermon. Hilarious. Um, all right. Now let's stay with church, but what about at a funeral? Is it
Mm,
is it wrong to get a number at a funeral?
Now, if we in the fellowship hall and the funeral's over, yeah. But if I'm like grieving, don't try to come to me and ask me to get my number. I might slap you. Like, like, like depends on the situation. Like, but yeah,
If
Like,
what
that's
if you're like at the final view, you're standing over and he leans over and says, this proves that me and you should hook up because life is short.
The way my yeah, I wouldn't. That would be. I would not be receptive to that at all. I might punch you. I'm like, get away from me.
Oh,
What about you, Olaf? Would you are you
I
against?
yeah. No, I don't think myself. I wouldn't. Try to make time at a funeral. I just. I mean, I know there's people that do, and they.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, man, that's the perfect place to pick up a girl. And I'm like, yeah, no.
Mm-mm.
I don't think it's. I don't think that's the right place, but that's just me.
Yeah, I would. Look, as long as I'm single, a funeral is not off grounds for me. You're starting to see a theme. Uh, I mean, look, that's how you realize life is short. So in the words of Yardley, I believe he said that.
Seize the moment.
He said, go ahead and do it. All right. So I'm good with a funeral. Yeah. Now, one I've heard, and I'm curious to see Mosaic, what you thought. Now, obviously, you got to think about single Mosaic. Now, of course, no place is appropriate to hit on you, but because you're a married woman. But
People
um,
hit on me all the time,
yeah, yeah. Well, they're wrong for that. But
but they don't.
oh, okay, the ones that don't know. Okay. But I heard some women say that the gas station is a bad place.
The gas station is a happens often. If
Hmm.
like being in Ohio, these people are a little different down here,
Hmm.
but back home in Michigan, um, I don't care if I'm going to the gas station or I can be at the taco house, like getting my Flint foods and stuff like that. It never fails. Some guy is going to try to talk to me,
Hmm.
and then it's like, and a lot of times they're 25 to 20 to like 30.
Oh wow.
And so the last time I was home, I went to get tacos, and so came out. I was waiting for my food to be done because I was sitting in the car, and your boy just come up. He was like, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm fine. How are you?" He was like, "You got a man?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm married actually." He was like, "You need a boyfriend?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "First of all, how old are you?" He was like, "Oh, I'm 26." I was like, "You are too young. To my age ain't nothing but a number." And he was on me like hard. I was like, "This dude." I was cracking up, but it's like, but then like I can't really talk about my husband is 10 years younger than me, so
Hmm.
But young guys do come for me, and it'd be so funny because lately it's been young guys, Mexicans, and of course Africans always do, but.
Mhm. That's funny. Yeah. Uh, what about you, Olaf? Is the gas station a bad place?
Nah, no, it's
Right.
not.
Yeah.
Because no, it's not. Because I mean, you're standing there for several minutes putting gas in your car, and she's putting gas in her car, and
Yeah.
it.
She gets to see what kind of car you got right off the
That's
bat.
right. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
the. Yep, that's like that. See what kind of car she drives, how she takes care of her car and stuff. Uh, you know, nothing wrong with the gas station because you're standing there with nothing to do for 5 minutes or so or 10.
Mhm.
Just standing there waiting for the tank to fill.
Now I
No.
did see Stephanie said that you might be like a random bum or something like that. Now I ain't trying to hear from the guy that's standing at the door on the side of
Yeah.
the door because I didn't seen you up there for about 5-10 minutes, probably asking people for money. Like, nah, like you have to be somebody in a car, getting out of a car or something like that.
Yeah. No, I was asking for money so I can take you out.
No,
It's
straight
like
on that.
spot me
Straight on that.
$5 and we go over to White Castle.
Girl, in Michigan, people don't stay at the hang out at the gas station now. You see somebody at the gas station, and they hanging out up there. They probably selling dope, or
Right.
Right.
they are drinking. So yeah, I don't want them either. I didn't already have my run with the dope boys.
Now, this is probably going to be inappropriate. Even I might agree. What if the person actually is intertwined in your life, like the pool guy, or I can't even get this one out. We're talking about women, right? What if he's I don't know, your gynecologist, and he's like, he's doing his thing, and he goes, "Hey, what are you doing Friday?"
You know what? Man, that's awkward. That's awkward. I could not. I would be like, first of all, that's why I don't have a male gynecologist because I feel like it's, and the gynecology is a male dominated field, and I
Right.
feel like they're all a bunch of freaks. So like even my doctor, um, so my doctor when I was like when it's after I had my weight loss surgery,
Uh huh.
and I was still actively losing weight, and he was like, well, well, you can get when you get your extra skin removed or whatever, he was like,
Hmm.
you can have like fat transfer from like
Hmm.
your stomach to your butt. And I was like, Dr. Davis, like, wait a minute. Like,
Mm.
is you looking at my ass?
Oh
So that
wow.
always crosses my mind. But a man is a man is a man is a man. So but I wouldn't necessarily like if the doctor was like if I was attracted to a doctor, I'd be like, ooh, I probably couldn't be your patient.
Right, right. What if it's your what if your pastor's single and he's like he makes his move?
No, that's different. Like if the pastor is single,
Right.
but something like that. I might, I might consider that,
It's like
depending on,
depending on
whatever.
depending on if he's got game or not.
Not necessarily if he has game, but I have to like you. I
Right.
gotta like you. So, I gotta, necessarily. It just depends on because like and you think about stuff like that. Do I really want to date the pastor? That comes with a lot. Like
Oh yeah.
I worked in the background of the church. I was an armor bearer, so I be knowing like all the drama and all. And like you think about stuff like that. Be like, do I really want to be a first lady if I ever get married? Like, like yeah, that comes with a lot. So
Mm.
but I would consider it.
Mm.
Ooh, you know what? Yeah, hope please don't be a church queen. I know a couple of them.
Oh wow. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I always wonder too how you navigate that. Like if you're the pastor of a church, and then you know, I mean, obviously some guys don't care. They just like they out there. They could be married or not married, and they act like they single. Um, but it's like, is it inappropriate for a pastor to hit on one of his flock? Like and he's single. Like I said, he's single, ready to mingle, and all that stuff. Should he use that as his dating pool, or should he just say, you know what,
No.
nobody from my church, I'm gonna,
And, and I think that's absolutely do not use it as your dating pool because you're gonna have a bunch of bad people. And
right.
women make up a majority of the church. And so, like, I've seen where there's pastors that have been known to be, whores around the town. They got a whole congregation full of they women, and his wife is on the front row. So you like, you don't want to do that. But I have a rule that you don't date nobody go to work with, school with, church with, live across the street from, next door to. You just don't do it because when it ends bad.
Badly, yeah.
And so, yeah, you should needs to be some discretion. So even if I was to date a pastor, he probably would have to be at a different church.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's probably not a good idea. I remember a girl I was friends with, I was interested in, and she said, I don't date my friends, and I said, well, let's be enemies.
Girl,
It didn't
you
work.
go
It didn't work.
so
It
bad.
it did not work. But you know, I digress. All right. Okay, so yeah, that kind of wraps up that little segment. All right, so there's a couple of things I definitely want to get to before we say goodbye. And basically what we wanted to do was just uh uh I just wanted to thank everyone who's always supported this show, um, and thank all the people that participated in the program. I don't know what happened to Taralynn. I texted her, but hopefully she's everything's okay on her end. Um, but I wanted to, really take this as an opportunity to thank people who've helped out. And this year, we're going to do a bunch of new shows. We're not going to be on next week, but the following week we'll be on Monday 6 p.m. All new episodes, great topics as always, and I'm looking forward to all of that. Um, you know, like I said, it's been 200 episodes of great topics. Some of the stuff that we've done, one thing I always wanted to do was do shows that you could listen to, like they wouldn't feel dated. You know what I mean? So like, if you do a show about just dating, that will always, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if the show was done in 2018, it's still relevant today, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And I always wanted to do those shows. And one thing I didn't want to do was like what's going on in the world topic type stuff. And my first co-host, she always wanted to do what was in the news, and I just didn't want to do it. And then one day, to prove my point, I don't know if you guys remember, there was that situation when Jay-Z got in that fight with Solange in the elevator,
Mhm.
and she wanted to talk about it. She said, "We got to talk about it." So I said, "Okay, we'll do it." And that was one of our worst shows, right? Because it
Yeah.
wasn't, we were just like, no one really had a real opinion about it. It was like, I don't know. I mean, and then I was just like, see, I don't, it was like, I just felt like, okay, it happened. Who cares? Like, I mean, it was, you seen the little videos, to this day, I don't even know if it's ever been said why that happened or not. But, I just didn't really want to do shows like that were about a specific time, you know. Oh, this was unfortunately before I knew Stephanie. Uh, but oh yeah, I forget Stephanie's from Houston, so um, but yeah, that show really didn't do well because that wasn't really like what we did. But we of course I did my best on the show to try to make it into something, but it just didn't pop off. And she was like, "All right, you win. We won't do those, those topic shows like that, you know." And I'm really happy that we've done what we've done, over these last so many years. So like I said, I don't know what happened with Tara Lynn. Hopefully that she's good. Um, so I'll be hitting you guys up about coming on the show, because we always need panelists. So anybody out there who wants to be a panelist this year, let me know. We'll put you on. Um, she says the craziest show to me was the sex therapist lady and who that had sex with her client.
Oh wow,
Oh yeah, I
that
remember
Yeah,
night.
that.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember
uh,
her.
right,
Bounce across.
yeah, yeah. That was very interesting. And I remember I made a joke like, oh, I need therapy. This like was like a joke. And she was
And
like,
it
"Okay,
happened.
yeah, we could put you on the schedule." I was like, "No, I'm kidding." Like I'm kidding. I'm kidding. And oh yeah, and Alan Roger Curry, who's deceased. I don't know if Stephanie knows that. Alan Roger Curry died. Who used to be on our show all the time. He died a few months ago. And which was interesting because this guy got married, had a kid, and totally kind of went against what he was known for. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He died. He died. I don't know why he died. I don't know what it was, but he did die. Alan Roger Curry, who was a frequent guest on our show all the
Hmm.
time. So Yeah, he got married. What is the damn? She said the damn is more that he got married. Yeah, he got married, had a beautiful son. And because he was like Alan Roger Curry was always about sleeping with as many women as possible and all of this kind of stuff. And but he fell in love, got married, and then he was not married that long. They had a child, and it was beautiful child. And she was a much younger woman. He was in his mid 50s, I believe, and I believe she was like 28 or something like that. And it was really sad. And then all of a sudden, it was like he was dead, and I don't know why he died. Um, I didn't really want to look into it. I'm not one of those people that got to know all the details about someone's death.
How'd he die?
Right. He said, well, I knew she would be young. Yo, yeah, for sure. And she's a very beautiful woman. And yeah, it's like, what's funny is when somebody's like 90 something, and then you'll be like, you'll be like, Jackie passed away, and they'll be like, how? I'm like, well, she was hang gliding, and it was a terrible accident. What the fuck you mean? How?
He's 90.
She's 90. She's almost 100. Yeah, why are you asking me? She was old. That's why she died. Yeah. I mean, if it was something like a grizzly bear ate her or something, then I would then of course I would say I would have led with a grizzly bear at Jackie, but no, uh, no,
That's horrible.
yeah. So um, yeah, a couple of people have died. Um, that's been on our show. There was a woman. Most of you guys won't know her, but Taralynn and Olaf might. There was a woman. Her name was Brandy Maltis, and she was from Second Life. I forgot what her name was. She used to. There was a singer that she managed named Mankind Tracer. I don't know if you remember him, and she was his manager, and she died uh, a, a few years ago.
Name sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, she passed away. She was a regular. She came on our show quite a bit. Actually, me and her had a falling out, um, which I won't go into. Uh, so we weren't on good terms when she passed, which was it's quite sad, but it's still sad. I mean, I didn't wish death on her, or
Right.
anything like that. But yeah, she passed away. I should have probably made an in memoriam of all the people who have Ken White, who Ken
Yeah, I
White
remember.
was he had been on the show before. Ken White
Right.
ran a website called The Movies Underground, which my show Spotlight was through, and the machinima community, and he passed away.
Right. I
Uh,
remember Ken.
yeah. So Ken passed away. It's quite a bit of people who passed away.
Mm.
So and I should have written them down. So my bad. I guess I was ill prepared for the show tonight. But there's so much things I could talk about, and I'll save them for future shows. But I just really wanted to use this to thank people, kind of give a little oral history, and thank you guys, Olaf and Taralynn and Mosaic, for being, part of the show, and of course Stephanie in the chat room, Dedrick, and all the other people that are listening but not saying anything. I really want to thank you guys for being supporters on this program. And Taralynn, are you there? Okay.
Well,
No.
now I'd like to put out there that would like to thank I'd like to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this when it started out, because it's been a blast. I love doing the shows,
Oh,
and like I said, you and I go way back, and it's like in all the different shows that we had done together. I mean, I want to thank you it's like for allowing me to be part of them.
thank you. I appreciate it. Man, I miss doing shows with you.
Yeah,
Like we used to do like several shows a week, and we got to get back to doing more stuff.
it's like
And
there.
cool,
Well,
Dedrick. I'm gonna reach out to you, Dad, about coming on. You and your brother. I gotta chop it up with your bro too. Yeah. But thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Oh, thank you. Danny is in the chat as well. And it's funny, it's not coming up on the screen, but Sean G is it's funny, it's not coming up where I can put it on the screen, but Sean G is in the chat as well. So, oh yeah. Oh, and I believe Danny was on a podcast tonight. So yeah, and so we love Danny. We gotta get Danny back on as well. Stephanie gotta come on as well. But uh, I think one thing I want to say too, some of the topics I want to do this year, and obviously Mosaic, if you have any ideas, please share with the class. I want to do a show on. I think it's really important, especially during the pandemic. It became even bigger. I wanted to do it before the pandemic. Was a show on homeschooling because I think miseducation is worse at times than no education. Because if you're miseducated, I'd rather you be a blank slate than a messed up, canvas. So that's a show I wanted to do. I wanted to do another poetry show. Because I always enjoy the poetry show. We gotta do another nerd show because the nerd shows always do very well. Oh, you know what? I never got to the. You did the Thundercats, right?
I went to see Thundercat. Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Yes,
we
and
never
I had
talked
my
about it because I don't think we were on. Yeah.
I had my Thundercat dress on. It was so cute.
Is it on
I
Insta?
had, yeah, I had his whole face printed on a dress.
Oh
His
wow.
whole like one of his pictures. It's his body. So and it's on the front and the back. I was the only one who had on anything like it. And I had my kitty cat ears on, and I didn't get to meet him because that was my goal. But he stopped coming out into to meet people after the pandemic.
Hmm.
But his staff was like stoked. They were like, "Oh my god!" Like they, so they took pictures of me and stuff like that. And that was dope. I'm gonna get to meet Thundercat. That's one of my celebrity baby daddies. Uh,
So
but it was dope. I had such a good time.
all right. Okay. Oh, that's dope. Yeah, because I remember there was a big buildup, but we didn't do any shows after that. So, um,
Hmm.
but yeah. Okay, that's cool. And like I see, everybody's in the chat right now. Um, and Olaf, let's start off with you. How can we get you in social media and all that good stuff?
Well, let me ask you this: do you have my tagline ready?
Wait, yeah, I think so. Let's see if it'll work.
Okay. Well,
I think
it's like you can follow me on Facebook, but at Olaf Barbosa. But as I always say, don't follow too close because I do get nervous and I do have an itchy trigger finger. There it is.
wait. Hey, I wasn't sure if you guys were gonna hear it. Wait. Did you hear this one? Put some respect on. So Birdman for you guys. How can we get you, Mosaic?
So you can find me on most platforms at Mosaic Star, Instagram, Twitter, or you at Mosaic on Twitter, but also Clubhouse at Mosaic Star.
All right, I haven't been on Clubhouse. I'll just be lurking on Clubhouse. Like I'll
I
go
just
and
talk to certain
yeah,
people. I don't really
yeah,
the Clubhouse streets be ghetto.
yeah, yeah. And
Everybody
then
in a
in
relationship.
some rooms are so closed. Like it's like if you haven't been there for the last 8 months or whatever, they don't even really let you be a part of it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like
You don't want to
they're probably more than likely, yeah. Because sometimes they'll be like talking crazy, and then you'll be like, you want to go on there and say something,
be.
like
Yeah.
but then yeah, it's probably best that it doesn't happen that way. So
And
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this one time. I was in Clubhouse and I didn't know there's these rooms called roast rooms, and I didn't know I went into one because it didn't say roast room. And when I went in there, and then they dragged me up, and then they just start roasting me. Right? They're like talking about, because these were younger guys, so of course they went to, you look old and all of this stuff. And so I was kind of taken aback at first, and then I just let off on this dude because where I'm from, we roasted 24/7. I got a PhD master's degree in roasting, and I obliterated this fool. It was so bad where he kicked me and blocked me from the room because I was killing him. I
Some
was
people can.
killing him.
Somebody
And,
tried to roast me, and
uh-huh.
I made that dude so mad because I remember certain things because he been in rooms that I've been in. I remember certain
Uh-huh.
things about you, and he tried to say like, "Oh, that's why you fat." Like I'm like, "Okay, try again, sir. Like try again. We all can see that." Then he said like, "Oh, you ain't had no gear." I was like, "Well, you know what? You know what I did have? A daddy." And it was like, "Oh my god!" It was like, "Oh yeah, don't
The guy said to me,
go for the juggler. Do not come for me."
every time he would say something, I would just use it back on him. And he messed up because he said, "You look like you old enough to be my daddy." And I said, "I am your daddy." And I said, "I'm gonna stop being an asshole and come see your mom tonight." I
That's
was like,
special.
"Dummy, you set me up for the joke, you idiot."
Right. Right. They don't know how to cap for real, not for
Yeah, I
real.
was like, I mean, you gave me a layup. Said, "I am your daddy." And then he said,
you
he
throw it out there and you expect me not to take it. It's not going to happen.
then he said something about, "Oh, you from LA, I see. I'm from LA. I'm from such and such Crips or whatever. Why don't you come to my neighborhood and I'll F you up and all of this stuff?" And I said, I said, I don't go to poor neighborhoods. I live in I live in a very upscale neighborhood. You couldn't even get into my neighborhood with your broke ass.
Man.
I said,
I just
you
get a
come
couple
here,
on
if you can make
Clubhouse.
it into here, you'll get fucked up. So you know. So yeah, it was like he just, and it was so funny. So he blocked me, right? And then I went away for about an hour, and I came back, and I was in a whole other room that had nothing to do with it. And I go in this room, and then they were like, they didn't know me. These people, they were like, "Hey, your name is Kinte. Were you the guy that roasted such and such?" Because I guess he was famous for roasting people. The word that got around is some guy named Kinte had roasted this famous roaster and killed him. He's like, "I heard that you obliterated that guy." I was like, "Wow." I was like, "Yeah, I did." And they was like, "Man, nobody's got." I said, "He's your best? He's your
No,
champion?"
no.
I said, "That's your champion?" I'm like, "Man, I could take over these clubhouse streets."
But
You
it's
know?
always a guy that tries to come for like me or something like
Hmm.
to try to come for a woman, try to roast her, and
Right.
then when they get a woman that can roast back, they cannot handle it. Like I didn't,
Yeah,
they
is
like
this your
they want to beat me up. They want to fight me. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, if you can't take it, if you can't, if you condition, you can't take it, stay your ass out the kitchen. Cause I am coming for you. I will dig deep back into your Instagram history and just light your ass up. Do not, do not
maybe
play. I do
maybe
not come to play.
maybe Danny and Stephanie remembers back in the Blab days, they would have like a bunch of comedians just riffing and stuff. And sometimes I would get in on that, and uh and I did pretty well on in those rooms too. It's so funny too though, because comedians are funny. Like if they don't see you as a comedian, sometimes they just be hating. Especially if you're getting laughs, they'll be Danny knows sometimes comedians can be such haters, if you're not part of the tribe in their mind. So but yeah, those were fun days, man. And like I said, I love the roast. Like I'm like this. I won't start, but I sure will finish. You know, and then I'm like, I've heard every put down ever, so nothing bothers me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not gonna make me, and then especially if you start making up shit that I know is not true. Why am I gonna get mad at something that's not true? It's like,
Right.
if you try to call me homosexual or you try to say this, I know I'm not. So how are you gonna make me upset? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
that those things don't stick. So you'll never get anything that'll stick. And I will say, once you cross the line, believe me, I will live on the other side of the line, and I will say shit that you will say is not right. So that's why I try not to go there with people, because I'm pretty evil. So you know,
Darn
so
Sagittarius.
you know, I I shouldn't even say this. Maybe I should say this off camera. I got in trouble on a podcast I was a guest on. Uh, I probably shouldn't say it on the air. I'm not gonna say it on air, but I'll say it when everything stops. But because of that reason, so and it was kind of recent. But anyway. All right. You can get me at Kinte F on Twitter, Kinte Ferguson on Instagram. We won't be back next week, but in the following week after that, we'll be back with all new episodes. And I'll be reaching out to people to have you guys on as guests, and we'll have some new people. So yeah, we're gonna leave you hanging, yeah, because they may be listening, and I don't want to start no shit. So, but I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and God, good night, and God bless.
Thanks for listening.